How do you do? Just a word of friendly warning. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now is your chance to, well, we've warned you.
We made it alive to WonderCon, our first WonderCon.
Yeah.
2019. Mikey B.
Mikey B.
Freddy M. Andy H.
I prefer to pronounce the H.
Pronounce it. So, I would say today was a success.
We've been up for like 18 hours right at this point. Is that what it is?
We've been running for, that's pretty close, Andy. That's about right. And we're finally ready to unwind and relax, but we wanted to get this out to you so you could enjoy it with us.
Don't make it out like we're ungrateful. We are very grateful, but we're also tired.
Make sure you're following us on Instagram. That's Night of the Living Podcast, all spelled out. Andy's been taking a lot of great pictures there. The visuals pair very well with the audio that we have. Thank you so much to our patrons at patreon.com/NOTLP for making this possible. Yeah.
Ooh, what wine pairs with this picture? Picture of pair.
But this is only possible because of our Legion of Demons over there at Patreon. So thank you so much for your support. Up first here, we hope you enjoy our interview with Jeff Annison of Legion M, which is this really cool company that you're about to hear all about. So I won't spoil it. Enjoy the interview. Freddie Morris at WonderCon with Jeff Annison, the president of Legion M, which is this coolest thing. It's like, you hear about crowdfunding and people kickstarting and Patreon and everything else. We're on Patreon for that matter. But this is like something different that you guys do. It's a fan-run production house for a number of different types of, I would call them like geek products, right?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's like we love crowdfunding and Kickstarter and Patreon and that sort of thing, and this is just crowdfunding taken to 11 because you're not donating in exchange for insider access, right? You are investing to become a part owner of the company, and so as a shareholder you get insider access. And we're a entertainment company. We produce film, television, virtual reality. Some of them are our own in-house projects that we develop from scratch. We've got one on Kickstarter right now. Others are big name projects that we invest in. So we invested in Mandy, for example, with Nicolas Cage, which was fantastic. Esquire's best movie of 2018. Colossal with Anne Hathaway. We just announced that we invested in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot that Kevin Smith is doing. And we're partnering with Fox on the Tolkien movie that's coming out soon. And so it's a way for fans to not just support, but to literally be a part of the entertainment industry and to own a piece of it, which I think is very exciting.
It's really neat. And is this something like somebody, if they wanted to go and say invest in the production of the new Jay and Silent Bob movie, is this something do you go to your stockbroker and say, I need X number of shares of Legion M, or what?
No, we're using the Jobs Act, which is a brand new sector of legislation that was just put into law about 3 years ago. We were one of the very first companies to take advantage of it. And what it did was, for the first time, allowed equity crowdfunding. So prior to that, Kickstarter and Indiegogo, the reason that they were rewards-based, right, you could back a project, and in exchange you would get your name in the credits and a pre-sale of it or something like that, but they weren't allowed to offer equity because it wasn't possible under securities law. And they changed that, and we were one of the very first ones to do it. So we are regulated by the SEC. Everything that we do, there's audited financial statements published online. They do bad actor checks, and there's a lot of due diligence that you can do. It's
right. And when he says bad actor checks, he doesn't mean like the talent in his movies.
Yeah, it's funny. I was going to drop a couple names, but now that I'm in the industry, you can't do that because you're going to run into them.
You got to be nice. I was really excited by you mentioned the Kickstarter project, The Girl with No Name.
Yes.
Which I'm a huge Westerns fan. I love, especially spaghetti Westerns and the old Clint Eastwood story. So like what I've seen of what the artist has released so far, it's just got this great look, and I can't wait to see what you guys are going to do with it. But tell me more about that.
Yeah, so it's an exciting film. That's one of the ones that we have internally that we're developing ourselves. And we partnered with the screenwriter and the director and the producer. And it started as a movie project. Let's turn this into a movie. The script actually won Slamdance, the Slamdance film competition, which is kind of like, that's the AAA league for Sundance a few years ago. So it's an amazing script. And but the director, her vision for it, what got us really excited, is that it's a Western, like you said. You could imagine a storyline kind of like True Grit, right? But with a protagonist that's more like Katniss Everdeen. So it's this really badass female young woman, lead for it. And visually, what the director wants is something that's highly stylized. Think of like 300 or maybe even Sin City on like the far extreme, but something that's like not like an old spaghetti Western, but like a modern day action adventure that just happens to be set in the Old West. And so it's we talked with them and we're like, well, why don't we release it as a comic book first? And what that does is it does two things. First of all, it allows us to build traction for the property. If we go to a studio and you've got a script and talent, that's one thing. But if you can also say, and we have a fan base, which we can demonstrate by the fact that we've sold this many comics and people, this is the buzz that it's generating, it can help you sell the project. But the other part of it that's really cool is that what better medium to flesh out a highly visualized style than comic books?
Yeah.
And what's wonderful about Kickstarter is that it allows people to come into the process. And if you think of the comic book as like a little bit like a storyboard for this one segment of the movie, we can share that with a wide audience and get their feedback. So one of the things when you back the Kickstarter, you're buying the first edition comic book that, hopefully will go on to become a franchise.
With variant covers too.
Yeah, with variant covers. Yeah, that we intentionally did to get, that's a way of us getting feedback. Here's 3 very different styles from 2 different artists. What do people like? What resonates with them? And so the one that gets chosen the most is going to become the standard cover for the comic book going forward. The other 2 will be Kickstarter limited editions that were only produced that once. And so it's kind of a fun thing. But like I said, it's really, the whole project is about bringing fans into the process, letting them be a part of it. We're going to be doing online development meetings with the director where you can share your feedback. We can talk about what works and doesn't work. They want to hear casting suggestions.
Right.
Like, who should these characters be? And so it's our first Kickstarter. It's a little bit of an experiment for us, but so far we love it. And we love anything that allows us to connect directly with the fans, give them agency over what we're doing.
And the fans love that. I think that's why you see so much success with crowdfunding. But what you're describing is really exciting because, like you said, it's actual ownership in what you're making.
It is.
Yeah.
And we tell people, like, we're a startup company, so we tell anybody, there's actually a video that says, please watch this before investing. And we'll tell you straight up, if you invest in Legion M, the most likely outcome is that you will lose your entire investment. That's the facts of life, right?
Yeah.
That's just as true for us as it was for Mark Zuckerberg when he was a college dropout launching a social network, or for Walt Disney back when he started off as a guy making cartoons with a mouse. And so the thing is, most startups fail, but if you are lucky enough or smart enough to get involved with one that succeeds, they can go on and change the world. And to be able to be an early investor in one of those companies, financially is huge, emotionally it's huge. Like, it's just cool to be a part of what we consider to be a community and a movement just as much as it is a company.
Yeah, and also you're screening Tolkien this weekend, right?
Yes, so we announced a partnership with Fox Searchlight. Tolkien's coming out. Are you a Lord Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Books, movies?
I like the movies more than the books, honestly.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Which one did you experience first?
Actually, I was a big fan of The Hobbit as a kid.
Yes.
And then coming into the movies I just thought they were so exciting when they came out. I just loved them.
Well, I'm a huge fan and more of the books than the movies. Although Peter Jackson did an amazing job.
Yeah.
It's so hard because, even if the movie would have to be 20 hours long for each book in order to capture all of the... this is a biopic inspired by the events of J.R.R. Tolkien's early life, the formative years fighting in World War I, and the camaraderie and fellowship of his friends in school that led to the writing of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And it's an amazing film. And so we've got a free screening tomorrow night for people who are at WonderCon. And the movie comes out on May 10th. It's going to release all over the country. So it'll be a pretty big release. And Legion M is working to coordinate meetups around the country where you can come out and get a limited edition gift. And we haven't announced what that's going to be. There's also some other cool perks that we're going to have that we haven't announced. But it's a really fun way for fans to be a part of this film.
That's great. I love it. I love everything you guys are doing. This is cool.
Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to joining the Legion.
Yes, well, it's 100% free to join the Legion.
Yeah.
As you said, we're only open for investments during certain times. We call them rounds, investment rounds. And like I said, everything we do is regulated by the SEC. We just got approval on our latest filing actually this morning. And so we'll have a round open soon. We don't have a round open now, but at any time you can join Legion M. You can join as a free member. It doesn't cost anything. You're going to get our emails, but that's it. Then you can follow on. You can see for yourself what Legion M is about. You can still, as a member, participate in probably about 95% of the stuff that we do. And if you ever decide that you want to take the plunge for as little as $100, you can invest and own a piece of what will hopefully be the next big thing.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you so much, Jeff Annison.
Thank you for having me.
Legion M.
All right.
So this next segment is an opportunity we got to interview with the next Elvira, April Wahlin.
She was really nice. I liked her.
She was very nice.
She was really fun. And
her husband's from Cincinnati.
Yeah, so it's like a small world thing. We thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, here's Mikey B's interview with April Wahlin, the next Elvira, and a fantasy author to boot.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. So tell us the next Elvira. Tell us what does that mean? The next Elvira. Are you the next?
Well, I still technically hold the title of the next Elvira. She's still doing it, so it's not really necessarily a need for an next Elvira. But I'm here if she needs me.
You're on deck. You're ready.
I did a couple events with her, and then she's running around doing her thing with her pop, little Funko things.
Yes, I saw those. Those are great.
Yeah, and I'm doing my books and.
Yeah, tell us about your books.
Yes, I'm a fantasy writer, so I have 2 books out. One is 13 Offerings. It is a anthology novel with about 13 stories in it. It's got stories of Medusa and the Gingerbread Witch from Hansel and Gretel. I got pirates. I got all sorts of crazy good stuff in there. And then my second novel that I just came out, my first full-length novel, Pandora Syndrome. That book is about a vampire necromancer. She just basically wants to play video games and hang out and just kind of not be, a stalking, denizen of the night. But a fellow necromancer is trying to kill her. So
this sounds like a little bit of a nerdy kind of witch.
A little bit nerdy vampire necromancer.
So you're at a con. I looked a little bit at your bio. I see that you're a volunteer for San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes,
so what's
WonderCon.
con life? WonderCon as well. Awesome. Yeah. So what's con life mean to the next Elvira?
It's exhausting.
Okay.
But it's a lot of fun. I get to talk to a lot of people. I get to help the convention go on.
Yeah.
I've been doing it since I was like 16.
Really?
So now I just I don't even think twice. I'm just like, of course I'm going to go volunteer for Comic-Con. Luckily they give me a day or two here and there where I can pursue my Elvira writing-ness.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So what is it about the cons? Like, what's your nerd things that you really get into? Obviously writing.
Yeah.
Fantasy.
I do love the superheroes. I do.
Okay.
I grew up with, Batman, X-Men. They were always my favorites.
Okay.
So I was constantly trying to dress up as them as a kid.
That's awesome.
My mother couldn't sew for anything, so that was a bummer. But I love any of the fantasy genres. I'm a big fairy tale nerd, so
Okay.
I work that into my worlds a lot.
Gotcha.
And so, I'm pretty bi fandom.
Okay, lots of different interests.
Yes.
So the horror genre. So Elvira, obviously, long history with the horror. So any connection with that, or more the fantasy, or grew up watching the movies?
I grew up watching horror movies.
Okay.
Actually, my mom and I used to watch Tales from the Crypt and Hitchhiker all the time. So I have a special place in my heart for Crypty.
Yeah.
And I also love Army of Darkness is probably my favorite movie ever.
Good.
I know everybody's like Evil Dead 2. I love Army of Darkness because it's kitschy, it's funny, it's ridiculous.
Right.
I love Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
It's just one of my favorites.
That's fantastic. So kitschy and fun. That's Elvira's spirit right there.
Yeah. And I used to work with Troma too. So
fun.
I traveled with them on like the work tour.
Yeah.
Crazy days.
I bet. So anything else that you can think of that you'd like for our listeners, horror film podcasts, to know about the next Elvira or any of the other works that you're doing?
I believe I will be doing another signing at Comic-Con.
Okay, great.
Probably with Nuclear Blast, I hope, fingers crossed.
Awesome.
And my books are available pretty much anywhere you can find books. Amazon.
Okay.
I'm going to be getting the next book out, I hope, this year. We'll see.
Awesome.
Depending on editing. But this Pandora Syndrome is part of a 3-book arc.
Okay.
So there's definitely more coming. And it's part of a 21-book series.
Oh, wow.
So, which also includes 13 offerings.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And where can we find you?
You can find me at aprilwahlin.com or on any social media at aprilwahlin.
Fantastic. Well, this is Mikey B with the NOTLP podcast. Thanking April for her time today. The next Elvira. This was great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Something really exciting that got to happen is a friend of the show, Grae Drake, who is taking off as the Moviefone.
She's Miss Moviefone now.
She's Miss Moviefone. This just got announced. Miss Moviefone, it was actually moderating the...
It's Ms. Moviefone if you're nasty.
the Dark Phoenix panel, and I know Andy has a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, congratulations to Grae, and I'm really glad that she got this opportunity to moderate the panel. But the cast was really cool.
Yes.
And we got to see some exclusive clips.
Which we'll talk about the clips when we get to that portion, and we'll kind of discuss like what we thought of each clip when we get there. So stay tuned for that.
But listeners, pay attention to a master moderator make something very, very interesting, and that's Grae Drake.
Grae is so much fun.
She's so
she
fun.
should moderate every panel at every convention.
Agreed.
Anywhere. So, all right, cool. We'll be right back after this first portion of the Dark Phoenix panel. This is some cool stuff. Keep your ears open, y'all. The audio's it's recorded in an arena, so on a phone, so bear with the audio because the content's great.
And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce the moderator of this panel, Ms. Moviefone, Grae Drake.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here today at the 20th Century Fox panel for this much-awaited movie that's going to be coming in June 7th. Now, just a quick personal note. Oh, no, wait. Hold on a second. Who out there got their amazing posters? Okay, so make sure that you're part of the social media conversation and post those bad boys up because you need to make everyone else super jealous. Okay, I've already done it and I've gotten a lot of angry DMs. It feels so good. So now my personal note, because I am such a huge fan of WonderCon. I've done so much work with these folks that made this movie we're about to talk about. And it's really special because I just got this new job announced as Ms. Moviefone, right? Thank you. Well, so here's the thing. Like, I've used that service forever. It really meant a lot to me as a tiny movie nerd. When I saw the very first movie in this series, like, it was like, people follow me. Hello. So I feel like I've been waiting nearly my entire life to introduce this panel to you in this exact way. So for those of you who are familiar with Moviefone Legacy, you're going to know what I'm about to do. But for the rest of you, you're getting a preview of what's to come because I'm going to be everywhere super annoying you all the time. You ready? Yeah. Hello and welcome to WonderCon. You have selected Dark Phoenix. Dang, that felt good, y'all. Thank you so much for indulging me. And now keep that applause going because I'm going to start welcoming our panel today with, first of all, our director, Simon Kinberg. Producer, Hutch Parker.
Wow, a lot of people.
Right?
Very cool.
It's happening, you guys.
Yes, it is. Thank you guys for being here.
So Simon, ease us into this. Tell us the end of Dark Phoenix.
Everybody dies. They turn into dust.
Oh no, too soon. But actually, so Dark Phoenix for X-Men fans is like, it's very, very fresh in our minds all the time. It's a great storyline. We've seen it a little bit before. But tell me why right now was the moment for this movie to get me.
Well, Dark Phoenix was my favorite storyline, being a hardcore comic reader growing up. And I always imagined if there was ever going to be an X-Men movie, I never thought I'd be involved in it. But if there was ever going to be an X-Men movie, that's the one I wanted to see. And like you said, we saw it a little bit in X3, but you didn't see the real Dark Phoenix story in that movie. And so when we did His Future Past, one of the things that I loved about that movie is we got to reset the timeline in a way that made it possible to do a real version of the Dark Phoenix story. And that's what we tried to do with this movie, is to give you all of the elements that you love from reading the comic, all of the things that made Chris Claremont's comic run so iconic and sort of survive forever. And do it in a way that was emotional and intense and intimate and also cosmic. So this is the first X-Men movie that goes out into outer space, which you're going to see a little bit of today. It's the first X-Men movie that has an alien in it, that does a lot of the things that we weren't able to do with X3. I think why now is feel like you've lived with this family for almost 20 years, one form or another, and we felt as though hopefully we had earned our way back into doing this story. And one of the wonderful things that a lot of movies have done, and certainly the MCU has done it perhaps the best, is tell intergalactic comic book stories. And so we felt like you all were ready and we were ready to do our version of that.
You ready? You guys have been making superhero movies before it was cool, right? Yeah. I mean, you're allowed to take credit for that here in this environment. But can you talk about, like, the very first one in context with this one? And was there something back then that you were worried about or something that was difficult that has really changed now?
Great question. Yeah. I think the first X-Men sort of paved the way to me for all of the comic book movies that followed, because it was the first one, opening with that scene in Auschwitz, taking something that was real and painful and depicting it the way it was depicted, suggested for the first time that you could tackle more than special effects and comic ideas. And to me, everything that's flowed since then has kind of grown from that moment. I think, candidly, in the early days of, even back to X3, there was still a little bit of caution about how willing the audience would be to embrace what I would call a more authentic approach to comic books. And something I struggled with as an executive at Fox, trying to get certain movies made. And then I think in the last couple of years, for me, Logan and this film did something different, which is dig into these characters and these issues in ways we hadn't before. And that's something I love about the comics in general is the degree to which they promise such incredible stories. And the underlying material is just so good. And frankly, I think it's better than we've been as storytellers in some cases. And this is a film that I think aspires to try to really tackle all of the potential of that while honoring the legacy and the characters and our wonderful cast. I think Simon has done a pretty magical job at doing that, which we're going to share a lot of with you today.
This being your directorial debut, you're behind the scripts for so many of these. Now, what was like your challenge, or what was your lesson that you took into this experience? Because I feel like you kind of go into it right, like, well, don't screw it up.
Yeah, you definitely want to don't screw it up when you're playing with the greatest comic in history. And as a directorial debut, it definitely is the highest degree of difficulty. But I've lived with these movies for a long time. I've been facing you guys for a long time. You've been incredibly supportive. You've also let us know when we got it wrong, which I also appreciate because we learn as we go. And we try to make them, better each time. And as a director, I learned a lot from all the different directors we're working with these movies. I've worked with Brian on the movies, working with Matthew Vaughn, working with Jim Ankle, working with Tim Miller, working with Dave Leitch with Deadpool movies. I've seen all these guys at work. I've worked with Scott, who's one of my heroes, and each of them I just learned a little from being on set with and watching the way they operated. And for me, it was like I've been living with Dark Phoenix in my mind for so long. To actually express it on screen, I felt like I could just take it to my mind and filter it through these incredible people that I was working with. This Hutch being a great partner, we worked a bunch of these movies together, and I had an insane team. And the directors really only as good as their team. So I had this insane team. Like my DP won an Oscar for being a cinematographer of Avatar. My editor won the Oscar for Dunkirk, and he did all Chris Nolan's Dark Knight movies. Hans Zimmer, you might have heard of him. And that was how I wanted to be a superhero movie, and I came to him and basically begged and bartered and just annoyed him for long enough, and he finally ultimately said yes. And I think he also said yes because what I promised him and what I promised you guys is that it's a very different kind of superhero movie. That it is a more rich, emotionally intense, intimate movie. It's got all the bells and whistles, all the spectacle, all the fun you want to come to expect from these films. But it gives you some of the emotion that I was just saying, like a Logan.
I think one of the big takeaways from what you just said is that perhaps your directorial signature is annoying people. Is that?
I think it's a general signature, I think.
Okay, cool. Awesome. How about we show everybody one of the things that you guys brought today?
One of the things we brought a picture of the movie for you guys to see today. You're the first people in the world that are going to see a lot of it. The first clip you're going to see is just the first of two. The first clip you're going to see is early on in the movie, and it shows you that we leave the planet Earth in this film. So that's what I'm going to say, and enjoy the next 10 minutes or so of your life.
So the first clip they showed, that's what you just heard. Like we're not actually playing the audio from the clip.
We're not allowed.
We're not allowed to record those portions. But
yeah, we got sternly worded looks.
Sternly worded looks. We're tired.
There were people in suits walking around making sure people don't record stuff.
It was like the Secret Service.
Yes.
So this first clip was the X-Men going into space, which was pretty cool.
X-Men in space.
This is actually the most true part to the comics. because this is when the Phoenix entity actually becomes one with Jean.
Yeah, I like this sequence a lot. I'm not like a big X-Men fan of the comics, so like the Dark Phoenix saga was not something I was super familiar with before Andy and Jason Cretton from Night of the Comic and Whorehound Radio. These two guys, they know it. Andy has a Dark Phoenix tattoo, so that's like how hardcore he is into it. Whereas I'm just like, neat, they're in space.
Yes, it is neat, but like, I don't want to like crap on the movie before it's out. But you can't do Dark Phoenix in one movie.
All right, Andy. I gotta say, this sequence was awesome though, because they did give each X-Man something to do. And it was pretty great. And also, there's a great line at the end of the sequence where Mystique, played by Jennifer Lawrence, goes into Charles Xavier's office and is like, "Seems like the women keep saving the men on this team. Maybe you should think about calling it the X-Women."
Yeah.
And it got a big reaction from the crowd.
Big round of applause from the...
It was a really well delivered moment too.
It was.
I feel like it seems like Professor X is a little bit of he's a little beaten up in this movie. Like he's not necessarily making the best judgment calls. And it's probably a low point for that character as far as like, you know, him having the confidence of running the team the right way. So I think that's kind of an interesting take on it. It's a little different than the other ones. And I love this. I love Days of Future Past and
First Class.
First Class. I haven't seen the other one yet. Anyways,
we're basic.
I'm real way behind. So, anyways, here is the rest of the Dark Phoenix panel, and then they will set up another clip at the end of this segment too, and we'll talk about that when we return.
That's my cue. Let's bring up the cast, shall we? Alright, so everybody ran out to watch the clip, so I'm going to slowly and eloquently say their names so they go in order. For the love of God, guys, don't mess this up. Sophie Turner! Tye Sheridan! Alexandra Shipp! Wrangled like nothing. They know how to follow instructions and everything. First time director, that's the thing. I mean, I think it shows on screen that you guys are so close, and I suspect that you know each other relatively well. To ease all of us into this panel process, there's a lot of serious stuff in Dark Phoenix, but I also think that it's balanced with a lot of like family, a lot of lighter stuff, and there are great moments between you guys. So the first question that I wanted to throw at you, just down the line, is if Professor X could see inside your head, is there a hobby or a memory or like a funny story that he would see, right? And feel free to answer for other people too and call them out on things. That's what we're here for. I mean, it could be from the movie, it could also be from your personal life, and everyone's going to tweet about it and bother you forever. Right. Yeah, I love it.
That's our Sophie.
I mean, actually, Sophie, I'll just give you like a really easy one to just tee it up for you. Like, tell us the end of Game of Thrones. Go.
I'll take this question for the team. And I'll think of one out of my personal life, because that wouldn't interest any of you. But from the movie, just when we were making this film, you'd be surprised that the biggest practical joker on this in his cast is Jessica Chastain.
What?
Serious, Oscar-nominated, like Juilliard, Jessica Chastain is immense. She's an absolute dangerous menace. Don't allow her around your children. She's bad news. And one of the practical jokes she played was on, and Sophie was somewhat willing to accomplish this, was on Mr. McAvoy, who's a very good target for practical jokes. And the joke was the scene in the movie where his character was on wires, as you guys know, that's how they get people to fly or move in particular ways that are natural for them, and then they take out the wires and hits him. So he was on wires, and the wires are being held by usually people from this team who are manipulating that person's body in the way they want to move. And on the last take, after we got the take, Jessica, and I guess I was going to do about it, Jessica got the guys she got our sound crew to start playing the song Macarena, and dance James's body around like a puppet, doing the Macarena on the wires. So that would be, I guess, my memory for making this movie.
I like that. Are there any good pranks that come up with you guys down there? That's the one thing I hear about this cast all the time. It's like, so close. People, when it was called and when the day was called, you guys didn't even go home right away. Like, you kind of hung out with each other. Nicholas, was that the case? Were you hanging with everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. You know what? We actually reined in a lot of our pranks, and like we still had a lot of fun. But at the same time, this movie, like Simon was saying, focuses so much on the emotions of these characters and everything. Everyone had a lot of work-wise to focus on their characters, so it was a lot. I'm trying to think of pranks to play. It's like the game. There's this game. Oh, yeah. It's really good. That's been ongoing for like years. Really, so it's all like airsoft gun.
Okay, yeah.
Did you get War on Apocalypse? That wasn't it? Dares. Yeah, Dares on Apocalypse. What else?
Ooh, Dares. Nice.
It was Odds On.
Odds On. Yeah, it was Odds On. What else? Tequila Slaps.
That was actually on the last record, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
We're outlawed in this movie because one of the actors from the last movie got knocked unconscious during Tequila Slaps. It was just a form of abuse, they called it a game.
Can I ask for some further clarification on a game called Tequila Slaps?
Yeah, you take a shot and then you smack the person across the face.
Okay, great. It's exactly what it sounds like. I love it.
It's very wholesome.
That's perfect. Well, and then flipping the script completely, like, Sophie, let's just talk about Phoenix a little bit, because, like everybody's been saying, there's a balance here. You know, it's very light, you guys are friends, but at the same time, your character's really going through a lot in this storyline. I mean, I kind of see it, and I have to tell you that, not to make light, but I relate to it because partially it's about a lady getting cracks on her face and being unable to control them. Right? So, I mean, that's part of it. But can you talk about the difference in preparing to play Jean versus preparing to play Phoenix?
That's interesting. But you're right, the movie is mainly about wrinkles. That's kind of what we've been doing. Yeah, you got it. I mean, really, the preparation to play Jean and the preparation to play Phoenix was kind of the same preparation, because it's not like it's not really like day and night. They're kind of fused together, and that's why there's such an internal struggle. Is because it's these two kind of separate entities fighting each other within one person's body. And so that's what we were kind of going for. So really, we wanted to study schizophrenia and dissociative identity disorder to kind of really delve into the psyche of the character and ground her in something quite real and something that will resonate with a lot of people. So that's what we were kind of going for, rather than two separate entities.
Yeah, which really adds a lot of nuance to the character, because at all times there's something going on.
Yeah.
I think that I could see a little bit of that in all the cast, I think, a little bit. And Tye, can you talk about that too? Because, I mean, just what's really interesting about just Cyclops' costume is that your eyes are covered. So that's one of your main ways to broadcast what's going on. But there was a shot in that last clip that we saw where you thought she was calm, right? And I felt that from you. So can you talk about that challenge? Because this is sort of new for Cyclops.
Thank you.
It's kind of like when Judge Dredd, like, you know, you can't see a face, but you're getting emotions.
Yeah, it's a lot of eyebrow acting.
So I just sit in the mirror and no, it's, you know what, this movie is really fun. We've all been saying in some of our interviews earlier that it's fun because these movies kind of, they jump from decade to decade, so a lot happens over the course of 10 years, and so you get to explore these characters in different chapters of their life. And so in this chapter, Jean Grey starts to kind of wrestle with this dark force, and it kind of splits the entire team up into two groups, and one who feels that she's still the same person when they say it for her, and the other feels that she's maybe a little too dangerous. So there's some really interesting, complex character dynamics, and I would say that Visor is it can be difficult, but then you have Kodi and Nick who have to wear blue makeup all day long and prosthetics on their hands, someone has to feed them their banana.
I was totally going to ask about that legitimately, because in this movie I was like, there's a close-up of the Beast, and I was like, oh my god, how does he eat lunch? There's a lot of hair over there.
Quite slowly, and I eat a lot of blue hair.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow, that really paints a picture, doesn't it? You're kind of like one of the vets of this thing. You're like a utility, I think, because we always come to the Beast, and he's such a grounding force, right?
Yeah, I mean, the fun thing about this movie is we've seen him evolve over the past few years from one of the students wrestling with his identity, and then now being, one of the leads of the X-Men, but then also stepping away from Charles because of what happens in this film and kind of finding his own resolve and approach to the issues that take place in this film. So we kind of get to see a new side of these emotion in this film, which is what was such a pleasure to play, and luckily Simon gave the chance to do that.
Was there a moment during this movie in particular where you were like, I just nailed it? You're too busy talking about furballs earlier.
I think that would be the wrong thing for me to be
Understood. Go back.
It's actually not true. After every take that he does, it's like... It's not his breath, but everyone can hear it.
Yeah, we can hear you, Nick. Alexandra, I am always so pumped to see what Storm is going to do. Always. Let's keep the vibe of this conversation going, because in this movie, you face new challenges, and I felt physically, I was watching you and I was like, ooh, just wait.
I found that way when I was actually doing it. What's really fun about doing stunts is you punch someone and then they go flying back, it really hurt, and they're like, you gotta get out of it, and yeah, I'm Storm, she's totally used to it, but Alex is losing her mind. It was so much fun. It was really fun being able to do all the stunts and do more hand-to-hand combat, and you really kind of get to see Storm really exude more power, and it was really fun.
When I'm looking at these clips, as a non-actor, I take myself out of it for a second, and I think about how you guys can't see any of the stuff that we see when you're shooting it. Because so much of your power is key and it's added and stuff. Do you, real talk, do you ever stand in the mirror and practice all your cool superhero stuff?
That's the only way you can do it. Yeah.
Yes.
The only way to do it, but it's actually really anti-climactic. Yeah, that was it, but nothing? Literally nothing?
I think the sad version of that is when, in the movie, it's epic, bam, he goes away, shows up somewhere else, but when it's Kurt, when it's me doing it, bam, I just toddle off and run
Nightcrawler is such an important part of the team, and that's something that really comes across in this movie, is how needed everyone is, and how everybody's such a functional part. But now that you say that, it actually occurs to me that his usefulness is essentially him hugging people. Right?
Nice way to put it, thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, he just likes to get a bit touched. I think it's super.
got a couple of woos. Shout out to Hutch. There you go. What's Kurt going through in this film?
I feel like, as we say, jumping a decade, you get to see a form of maturity in him, definitely, that is quite different to what I portrayed in Apocalypse, which was the more innocent, wide-eyed, vulnerable Nightcrawler that we love, and the comedic relief at points. But in this one, he definitely kind of starts there, but I had an opportunity to portray that more vicious, savage archetype in him that is a culmination and a product of his frustration building up to from not being able to know how to fix the internal struggles and the crises that they were going through as a team, as a family. So ultimately, crushed inside of him, and that's where we see it kind of connect with, I would say, Alan Cummings' portrayal of the character, which is very demonic and quite aggressive.
Yeah, this is really a different side. There's so much conflict. You can really feel that in the film. Now, speaking of conflict, the bravado of Quicksilver is like one of my favorite things. Yeah, I know. Just like that, even that quick moment in the clip, just like this, so weird, so much. Yeah, like that's our boy. One of the things that I associate with your character are these amazing sequences with great music. And so I wanted to ask you, just like personally, is there a song that like really resonates with you that you would set your own personal slow-mo sequence to?
Yes.
And you have to get really close to the mic.
Yes.
There you go. I'm gonna crack that whip on you, brother.
I think maybe. Do you guys know that song at the end of Mortal Kombat? The ghosts are coming up. No.
Yes. Will you sing it for us?
Yeah, would you? I'm just gonna let that sink in. Like I love that. Now I remember the song.
It's also the end of Mean Girls.
Oh my God, there you go. Movie fun fact. Who's a fan? Let's bring it back down here to the end of this table. What's your favorite part of all of these extensive sets that you guys have? Because there's so much that's practical. Like, what was like one of the things you were like, oh my God, this is so cool?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this movie. It's really cool. It was important to me to do as much practically as possible, like, which means obviously not with visual effects, CG, but to build things. And the reason why is I think one, and the actors speak to this, but every actor I work with feels the same. When they have something real to interact with, it's easier to act. Because they're actually in space, they're interacting with a real thing, one less layer of sort of make-believe that everyone has to do. And then also what you guys do. Like, I think there's something when I watch a movie and I see practical effects, practical sets, there's a part of my brain that like makes it feels real to me. Like the physics of it feel real, the dimensions of it feel real, all that. So there's simple little things in this you would never know where we're set. Like as an example, when Jean and Sophie goes home to the child in the neighborhood in which she was raised, it's a street of suburban houses. And in a normal thing, you would probably find a street of suburban houses in Montreal where we shot the movie. But there's some stuff that happens there that you couldn't do with street of suburban houses without relying entirely on visual effects, because you could destroy some houses. And instead of using visual effects and going to a location, we build a city block of suburban houses in the back lot of the parking lot where we shot. So all of those houses that look very real are very real on the outside and have nothing on the inside. That was really cool to me. And I think the other one probably, and you're going to see this coming up, so I don't want to ruin it for you, but there's a sequence in New York City, and we built a few blocks of Fifth Avenue in a sound stage. And that's what you're going to see.
On the flip side, so that was just cool stuff that was practical, and Sophie, I would like for you to tell us in great detail. One of the things that I'm always looking for when I'm watching like superhero movies, like what is cool that is going on that I secretly want to be able to do. And something that I've noticed a lot with Phoenix, something starting to learn of this, is that her hair kind of I know we're going to lose some people with a hair conversation, but you bear with me for a second, because that CG is so cool.
Yeah.
But what was that like in real life?
It was terrible. They decided, the best way to do it is you have to kind of put like a bowl cap on and tracking points to CGI. So, and one part of my costume is like this purple coat, this huge collar that kind of comes up like this. And I've got this bowl cap on, and I look like a Megamind. You don't feel powerful, you look like an idiot. Yeah, it was not fun. And they had me on this thing that they, not in the reshoot, when we were originally filming it, this parallelogram, where basically it was like a seesaw, one end had weights on it, and the other end was just like a bike seat. And so I would kind of sit on this bike seat with my legs out straight, my Megamind top off, and they would just like seesaw me up and it would just be the most painful, humiliating experience. But it looks really cool. It's good visual.
It works. At the end of the day, it works. So thank you for going through all that. I'm sure I'm not even putting her to do that. Tye, I always wanted to know, you're talking about the visor, it cuts off your peripheral vision. What are you actually seeing through it, right?
Yeah,
like what is this?
This one, the last movie was a lot of peripheral vision. You could, it's like looking in a tunnel, and then this one is like looking like this. So you trip over shit. The stage, you're shooting on a dark stage, they fix your hair, they tuck your hair behind your visor, so you don't want to pull it off because they're going to have to come fix your hair again. And so you don't want to, take it off every time you have to walk up the stairs. So, you trip and you get a lot of bruises on your shin. But the worst part about it is not being able to see whose mark is who. And there's all these people in the scene, they're like, oh yeah, show us this blue mark, you're the green. I'm like, dude, every color looks exactly the same. Everything, just gotta give me white and make everyone else a darker color. That was really hard.
It is funny, you see Tye and you're walking into this spot and then Tye just walking stand on your mark.
Just have to gently guide them. Over there, sweetheart, don't blast me. We're good. Nick, is there an effect that's gotten a lot easier to do for you over time? Is there anything that is vastly improved?
Well, I was just thinking of the humiliating things.
Oh, gosh, yes!
So there's this thing that my son found, Alex used to do really well, which is quad running. They're on all fours and they can make it look very graceful and fast and amazing. And then they're like, next you just finish off the quad run into the scene. I'm not built to be able to do that. So it ends up me kind of crawling. And then I'm popping up into the rain. And then carrying on the stage. So this is very embarrassing after that.
And, when every scene is over, when you pop into the scene, what do you say?
That's like my action thing where I hit something I roll.
Nice.
It's better than that in the movie.
Sure. Alright, I think it's about time that we introduce what's going on next. Why don't we? I'm looking at you meaningfully because I'm glad you're all sitting down. We're very cool.
As I shoot, we're going to show our second clip to you guys. This one's in New York City. And what you saw at the beginning was sort of the best of times for the X-Men. And this this is not the best of times for the X-Men. There's damage has been done, and the family, the X-Men, have been challenged, and this is you seeing them in conflict. Two things. One is the visual effects aren't completely done, they're pretty close to being done. There's a couple shots that aren't completely done. The other thing is there are some kids in the audience and says here, please be aware that members of the audience will be under 18 years of age. If you are under a certain age and you've never heard a word that starts with F, it's not Hutch. You're going to hear it from one of the characters sitting on this panel. So I'm warning you that in advance. For the fans that have heard that before, I think you're going to appreciate it. And so here you go. This is something nobody in the world has ever seen outside of the
Okay, I really like this other clip they showed too, so I guess I'm just a rube, Andy. But I thought it was pretty cool because Magneto brings, it's like a New York scene.
Yeah.
And Magneto brings the subway train up from underground and uses it as a weapon. I thought that was pretty neat.
It was pretty neat.
It was even better because the director said it was practical effects. A lot of it was.
The train was real.
Yeah.
Which I was like, what?
And some parts almost went wrong. So this was exciting that they don't rely totally on CGI.
Right.
So this was cool that they're going back to old-fashioned movie making.
Yeah.
Half a foot from killing Michael Fassbender.
That's right. They said bricks were falling around him and everything.
Real bricks.
Real bricks.
Yeah.
Real bricks.
Yeah, this is probably as much as we can say about this scene because there's heavy spoilers.
Yeah,
in this scene,
there is a lot of spoilers in this scene. But I'm on board. I'm definitely going to buy a ticket to see it because it just looks like a whole lot of fun to me.
Yeah.
Anyways, here's the rest of the panel.
This is taking the subway in New York hard enough.
Yeah.
Wow. You already said that so you had a New York set, 5 blocks.
Something like that, yeah.
Tell me what else was practical in this.
Well, the thing that I think most people would not expect to be practical, and it was, is that train that comes crashing through the wall behind Michael Fassbender and Magneto was real.
What?
Yeah, we got a train car, and our special effects, not visual effects, our practical effects unit built a rig that could send that train car at, I don't know what, 20 miles an hour or something behind them, and we built a wall that would get destroyed, and Michael just had to walk through there and not flinch. And the thing that was crazy that happened is obviously you get one shot at that because you're not rebuilding the wall and all that. We had a bunch of cameras shooting it. But when we prepared it and all the rehearsals we did to make sure it was obviously safe for Michael, it stopped like 10 feet or so behind him. But on the day, for whatever reason, when we actually filmed it, it stopped about half a foot behind him. And that thing that comes crashing from the behind him and it falls down like those bricks are real. They're in the set. And only Michael Fassbender, with love and respect to every other actor on this panel, including myself, and no other actor in the world, would not even blink when a subway car comes to about 6 inches hitting you, and bricks are falling behind your head. Michael just stood there, ready to take it. So that was real. And it's scary for everybody except for Michael.
Somebody out there is laughing because they're like, Fassbender needs to take down a picture.
Good luck.
Hutch, when you have your producer's hat on, are you hearing that story being like, what?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, to do that practically was something that we really debated. Partly because it's risky, partly because you can't do it again. Right? So generally speaking, you don't want to do anything in a movie, you can only do once. Because the odds of it going the way you hope it will are pretty slim. We really did have, I think, one of the best special effects or practical effects guys around, and he's done a couple of movies with us, and always delivers. Always delivers. He's like, no, I got this. I'm looking at the set, we're looking at the moldings, all this, all gonna come down, that's it. We can't go back. It's like, no, I got this, it's gonna work, it's gonna be great. So we're kind of set up there, we're all watching the video, kind of the way you guys are, and Perfect.
You should ask Sophie about the sequence that Sophie's in, not that particular one. That one, she just stood there at the end acting. But ask her about the scene where she's controlling a helicopter that was actually also practical and real and very close to telling everybody.
What? It was a lot of fun. It was a real helicopter. It was spinning around, it was ready to go, and like we literally did it with all of the cast, all of the crew, all of the extras. They were all there, and you know, I just kind of do this, and the helicopter tips over, and it starts like flipping shit out of the air, and grass and everything. It was amazing to see. It was terrifying, but it was amazing. And no one's heard of making this film.
Continue to stress that, because I feel like there's a general theme out of here that I don't love.
Understood. Yeah, miracles do not. Everybody's completely safe. Here they are. The movie comes out June 7th. It's gonna be great. And then, as we wrap up, I just need to know for my own satisfaction: does Michael Fassbender ever wear the Magneto helmet like just for funsies, like after a take is over or something?
Yeah.
Who wants to take that?
In the morning.
It's exactly the detail that I was looking for. Thank you. Okay, so as we wrap up, there's one more piece of business that we have to do. Everyone out there with an iPhone needs to take it out, turn your AirDrop on, because I am about to take a very special WonderCon selfie with everybody on the panel. They are going to be giving a little signature. We're going to AirDrop it to you. So technology is a thing that is happening, and what we're hoping is that you guys are going to be so pumped about what you've seen and heard, and you're just going to be so amped up with all the drama and terror that we talked about, that you're going to tweet out #DarkPhoenix, and you're going to start throwing things, and also X-Men movies on every platform. Instagram, you guys know the deal, right? Okay? Can I get a yes out of you? Okay, great. So they're going to bring the selfie stick to me. I have my very special. He does not want to be out on stage, by the way. So we're all going to gather down there around Kodi. We're going to rally. We're going to do one big hug. Rally around him. Nope. And by the way, if you wanted to stop being polite and start standing up, you could end up in this. All right, so thank you. This is always fascinating when you're checking out all our butts. Enjoy it while you can. I'm going to back up. I'm going to get obnoxiously close to you. And we're going to get more of the hot. Okay, great. Oh my God, look at my selfie arm. This is captivating. Yay! I'm taking 18, so there are plenty to choose from. And we've got it. You guys are really patient and amazing. And you're going to get this airdrop to you, courtesy of 20th Century Fox. If you have an iPhone, and for Android users, turn to the person next to you, make best friends with them. And at the end of the day, we have wrapped up this panel. You guys got this amazing first look at Dark Phoenix. Make sure that you spread the word on social media, because these days it's super important. I'm going to say June 7th one more time, and then I'm going to say thank you so much. I am Ms. Moviefone, and good afternoon.
So that's the panel. We're real proud of Ms. Moviefone. Grae Drake, she did a great job. Proud. And the panel itself was awesome. It was really neat to see Sophie Turner up close, watching her on Game of Thrones all the time. So that was kind of a neat experience. Also, we wanted to say we had a great first day at WonderCon. Thank you to Jeff Annison again from Legion M. Check them out. April Wahlin, next Elvira. Check her stuff out. Ms. Moviefone.
Grae Drake.
And keep up with Dark Phoenix. That's just about finished. It's ready.
So they had June, right?
Yeah, they said that they were just finishing up some effect shots. So that's pretty exciting stuff there. Follow us on Instagram, Night of the Living Podcast. See all Andy's great photographs. And Mikey?
Yeah.
You said this versus Comic-Con.
Well,
So-
just out of curiosity, real quick,
Yeah.
this is your first, both of you guys' first MegaCon, right? Like this is a big convention.
I mean, well, I've been to Gen Con, but not when it was...
Not when it was the massive.
I went to it when it was like a Milwaukee show and it was small.
Okay.
So this show is much bigger than like what we're accustomed to.
When we went to Gen Con, it was mostly game playing. We didn't like walk around the floor or anything like that. So it was like more intimate, our experience at Gen Con. So this is totally different, type of beast.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Especially the Twilight Zone panel, which I'm really hoping we can get into.
Right. And I'm hearing this is the first WonderCon history that WonderCon has sold out for tomorrow. So crowds will be a little bit heavier. But WonderCon is actually a sister con. It's thrown by the same people that do Comic-Con. And I'll definitely say this is a much more laid-back version of Comic-Con. Still a really big show floor, lots of stuff to see, lots of specialty stuff out there, but definitely a laid-back convention. You're not like camping out for panels. We were able to walk to the Dark Phoenix panel, which is probably the big show for today, was the Dark Phoenix.
Well, I want to give a shout out to Rachel and Caroline.
Yeah, absolutely, and also Robert.
Robert, they're helping us out in the press room.
Yes.
And even like Caroline said that she's been attending Comic-Con since the very beginning, probably.
The volunteers are awesome.
Yeah.
They're definitely fans. They're of all ages.
Yes.
Which is really cool. We met some on the elevator. She had a little homemade Groot pin that her friend made from plywood, I think she said. So there's just like crafty people all around and
You can
great
tell,
cosplay.
This one is definitely about the fans and the fandom. And like you're not seeing, I didn't see, like Comic-Con, one of the things people don't like about it is like there's so many people that are there trying to turn over merchandise and whatnot. You're not seeing that here. There's not that kind of frenzy here, which is really appreciated.
It's funny, like a real quick on-child story of like before the con opened, we thought we could be trampled because we were all like, bunched up by their doors that weren't open yet.
Yeah.
And some people just started opening doors and going in.
There was one guy who just kept resting his hand on the handles, and then he would go up and down and try every door.
Yeah.
And he was an older guy.
He did eventually get in before the con opened, so at least 100 people got in. Security had us to cowherd these people out again. And like literally 2 minutes later, it opened.
And it doesn't help that there's a guy who is cosplaying as a SWAT team member right next to the doors.
Yes.
So like he is not a SWAT team. I actually thought he was a legit guy at first when I saw him. So I was like, well, they're just gonna kill everybody now.
Great cosplay here.
It's the best I've seen.
I think that this would be if you were a cosplayer, this would be a great place to do that because it's a little bit more laid back and have to worry about the Comic-Con frenzies.
And I can't emphasize enough, go to Instagram. You can search the hashtags for this show or WCA 2019. Either of those should work. And follow us, Night of the Living Podcast. Andy, like I said, he's getting some really cool photos. And thanks so much to
And
you
don't
for doing
forget
that.
on Facebook and Twitter too.
Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter, NOTLP.
It's the same shit. It's cross-platform.
Yeah, you'll find it. It's you're gonna find the same stuff. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. We will return tomorrow with more coverage. Woohoo!